We travel through life always accompanied by partners, microbial partners, as well as human partners. There's much beauty in life. There's a tremendous amount of beauty in poetry and science, and that's what we experience together.
So many people have really been looking at the microbiome in the context of obesity, but what Jeff is doing is looking at it in the context of malnutrition, and this is what has inspired his phenomenally productive collaboration with his collaborators in Bangladesh, and the idea of trying to treat malnutrition by manipulating the microbiome, by manipulating functional foods.
We actually are looking at microbiome-directed interventions for moms and infants that can really improve adverse pregnancy and birth outcomes, and Jeff has been a huge and instrumental part of that.
So we're entering a very exciting time in the microbiome field that I think Jeff wanted to get to even 20 years ago and 30 years ago when he started laying the groundwork for this.
He always has a big picture that none of us really can fathom at the moment, and then a couple years later you're like, oh, he knew that a few years ago. Jeff probably knew way before any of us knew that the gut microbiome was going to be a thing, and he just kind of slowly steered his lab in that direction.
The projects that are happening in lab are quite diverse, but they're all directed at ultimately being able to solve undernutrition. That's the goal, and that's very clear. You know, on the days when the science doesn't work well and the experiments fail and the analyses are frustrating, you still know that your end goal is something that matters.
Scientific problems need an advocate, and I think in a lot of ways Jeff was one of the early advocates for really the need to understand the gut microbiome in a deep way. And a field without an advocate like Jeff might remain just a fragmented field of people working in sort of siloed sectors.
Consider he is the father of the microbiome. I think his research really transformative in terms of changing people's view about the microbial community and how that influence human health and disease.
I think Jeff embodies a spirit of curiosity. He encourages people to follow their instincts, to work hard, but not to be put off by failure, recognizing that the work is tough, but discoveries that come from this can be transformative.
If you go to ICDDRB, to Bangladesh, if you talk to my colleagues there, he's so much admired there, respected there, because he cares. He cares about the people who do the work, do the research, not just the researchers like me, but also the people who work in the field.
He is not only really smart, but also just super enthusiastic, that he likes to figure stuff out. He likes to solve problems.
He wasn't trying to create a mini-me, you know, he let people become themselves and grow into their science.
Was always making certain I was coming forward with the ideas and then having the conversation about what would work best and making certain I was thinking longer term.
Even more important than that, he put people before science.
He pushes hard, he expects a lot because he works a lot and he gives a lot, but he's also that emergency call you could make anytime.
So Jeff Gordon has a way of assembling people that bring a different lens, as Jeff called it at the time. So it was really sort of collaborative in that sense.
I think it comes back to that, science is important. We all love science, but we also, love the people behind the science.
He's always made sure that it's very diverse. There's been people here from almost every country that I can think of. There's people that speak all different languages. There's men, there's women, and he's always made sure that it's a cohesive group of people that are lifting each other up.
Working in Jeff's lab was one of the highlights of my scientific career. It was really exciting to be in a place where there was such a diversity of scientific interests.
And so all those people sort of bring expertise that no one person can have. It's sort of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for anyone who's working in that environment.
Jeff always made it feel like you were part of a big family where everyone could collaborate. There was no competition. There was just an interconnected set of projects that we're all learning from each other. He nurtured a culture of camaraderie and not competition.
He still is the best mentor I've ever had. I'm gonna get emotional like everybody else here at this, but I don't think there's a week that goes by where I don't channel some Jeffism. You don't want to make a bunch of mini me's as a mentor, but really that you want to bring out the best in each person who's, you're lucky enough as the mentor to have crossed your pathway.
It's really reflective both of Jeff's specific training environment, but really the broader Washington University community, that this is a place that's incredibly supportive, incredibly collaborative, and really tries to break down traditional disciplines so that we can bring all the tools to bear on important problems.
As we usually joke, this is like a Disneyland for researchers. Jeff liked to bring new technologies, and he called them as new toys. And we did so it's a research environment full of imagination and innovation.
Some of my colleagues might have called it the wonderland of science, because he invests heavily in getting the latest technology for his lab. And so there's always a new toy, a new instrument to play with.
When I joined the lab and started doing the actual work, learning that, you could actually spend your time studying microbes that live in and on the body, that was immediately something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so it's kind of a combination of his charisma and the exciting aspects of the science.
I'm certainly very thankful for what Jeff has done for me and personally and for my research. Is very inspiring.
Jeff is probably the most fearless scientist I know, and I think one of the great benefits of being in his lab is that some of that rubs off on you. And so when you leave here, you can see it in the science of all the people that have left his lab. They're just taking on very bold questions and doing a beautiful job, pushing the field forward.
He used to say, I want you to only be limited by your own imagination. And that was an amazing thing to be told. That's what's so great about science. It always surprises you. His influence, I think, goes through these academic generations. So, he really has populated a field, and then each one of us, and it just keeps going, that this influence through the sort of scientific generations, it really is something real.
Before I came to Jeff Gordon's lab, I was at Stanford University with Dr. Justin Sonnenberg, who also trained with Jeff Gordon for his postdoc years ago. Researchers in academia take a lot of pride in their so-called academic family tree. And so I guess Justin is my immediate academic parent, and since Jeff trained him as well, and Jeff is both 2 steps removed, but also, my direct mentor, that makes me a grandchild of Jeff. I take pride in the sense that Jeff has trained, honestly, more than a generation of scientists now.
Jeff was at the forefront and trained so many scientists. These scientists really think deeply about how can we do something that is meaningful, that is impactful, that moves the field forward in a significant way.
They're really productive, and that's because they're having fun. They all get on, they like each other. And it's just the excitement, and they want to work together. And that's when you get the best science.
Ours has not been a solo journey. One of my favorite African proverbs sums it up. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We, members of the lab, past and present, have created an environment of support for one another. You continue to demonstrate this support as you return to share your thoughts, your discoveries with one another. You embody hope, trust, humility, kindness, generosity, gratitude, a shared sense of purpose, and a shared joy in the pursuit of answers
to very complex, daunting, yet inspiring questions